Ladies and gentlemen, we have some potential big leaks prior to E3 which could give us an idea of what to expect in the near future. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click off now, but for everyone else, let's talk about some of these rumors. I'll be leaving a link in the description of the two posts I found on Reddit if you want to look at them yourself, but we're going to go over the majority of what was posted. The first post is a guy who says he got his information from an acquaintance that's involved in game journalism, with the majority of his content being Japanese games. He correctly shared details about the State of Play trailer a few hours before it officially released, and he starts off by saying that the Final Fantasy VII Remake will have a huge presence at E3 with a lengthy trailer as well as a gameplay demo and an actual release date. Not an estimated time window, which would confirm my assumptions to why they released the teaser trailer. I didn't think they would have released that if the game wasn't coming out sometime soon, but get this, he's saying November of this year. That's only 6 months away, which would be even sooner than I expected. Another big gripe people had with this game is that it'll be episodic, with fans speculating it'll be 3 or 4 episodes long. But this leak claims it'll only be 2 parts, with the first part ending with the death of Aerith, which is where Disc 1 ends in the original game. This would make sense to me because the game is really only 2 discs long when you think about it. The only reason why it's 3 discs long is because of the cinematic ending to the game. You don't do anything in Disc 3 other than go to the Northern Cave. So you could have what was on Disc 3 be on Part 2 of this game. He even added that the wait between Part 1 and 2 won't be very long in comparison to how long we've been waiting for this game, but that could mean a lot of things. And here's a part I want to touch on. The games will have expanded plot points and locations with tweaks here and there, but the overall narrative will feel familiar to fans of the original. For those of you who aren't familiar, due to a number of things, some of the characters did not come out how they were originally supposed to. One person I want to mention in particular is Johnny. Johnny is a character who lives with his parents in the Sector 7 slums. He secretly has a crush on Tifa, but because of the poor English translation, his character is very confusing. He claims to be a childhood friend of Cloud and Tifa, who was also in Soldier with Cloud, but his family claims they've never heard of Nibelheim. In actuality, he means Cloud is a childhood friend of Tifa's. You run into him a couple more times, once at the Honeybee Inn, and another time in Costa del Sol where he says, "Hey, is it really you? We were in Soldier and childhood friends before that. You were such a playboy and a bleepin' murderer," which should in fact translate to, "Oh, and you are, it can't be. You're that ex-soldier, childhood friend, and sexy playboy, and a murderer," inferring that he was never actually in Soldier. Check out a link in the description if you're interested in a somewhat awkward interaction between Johnny, Tifa, and Cloud at Costa del Sol. This is just one of the many interactions I'm excited to see in the remake. Getting back to the leak, he goes on to say that the towns feel much more real and organic. Roads feel like they serve an actual purpose, and each location feels unique and that it exists in their respective spots for a reason. Yuffie and Vincent will no longer be optional characters and will be much more organically tied to the story. If you don't recall, the main reason why they were optional characters in the first place was due to time constraints. However, even though Yuffie is a mandatory character now, the window that you obtain her is optional. And this part makes perfect sense. You can grab her as soon as you get to the Junon area up until you get to Rocket Town. The Junon area was the earliest time you could get her originally, and right after Rocket Town is where you would normally do the Yuffie side quest. Genova's story will be expanded on, but they plan on keeping her origins a bit mysterious, as well as Sephiroth's. If you didn't notice in the trailer, which I did not, and it was one thing I was initially worried about, the scene where you see Sephiroth is actually the Nibelheim flashback at Calm, not during the reactor mission. The second post is by someone in the Square Enix branch in California. He also says the game will be 2 parts, with the ending being right after Aerith's death, and also gives us a price of $60 for each part. I'm honestly not surprised by this, and I'm okay with it as it looks like we're going to have a lot more to do getting up to that point in the game. He goes on to say that Shinra HQ won't have as many floors to explore, but you'll have more to do on the floors that you can explore, so it'll still feel like you're fighting through a lot to get to the top. When I read this, I immediately thought about running up the stairs for what felt like hours as a kid just to get that elixir. So I'm already curious about how many floors there's going to be. There's a lot of speculation about Tifa, but he says that she will have her original outfit and her face will be mostly similar to Advent Children, but slightly more Western. But I don't think that's the main reason why people are so curious what she'll look like. Kate Sith will be pronounced, as it's supposed to, Ketchi, but will look pretty much the same with a more close-up fighting style. I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be weird for me, but being as I never use them in the first place, I think I'll live. When you first get to Gold Saucer, you won't be able to play all of the games there, because some of the games are essentially replays of future parts in the game, but some of them will be playable as soon as you get there. And here is where the information gets very interesting. Apparently, Red 13 will have clones named Cobalt 14 and Indigo 15, and you must fight them before Red 13 joins your party. A quick side note, I'm really curious to see if everyone starts calling him Nanaki after you get to Cosmo Canyon, or if they're still just going to refer to him as Red 13. Cloud will have a dress and wig on, and will fade to black getting in and out of the dress, which I feel goes without saying. He didn't really expand any more about that, so I don't know if it's just going to be like a really quick scene where he's in a dress, or if you're going to actually move around with him in the dress, go into Don Corneo's mansion, and so on. The Honeybee Inn will now require Gil instead of a membership card, and the squatting minigame will return. Lastly, he goes over the battle system, and I think this might make the people complaining about how it's not turn-based a little bit happier. First off, materia will be shown in almost all weapons, and the ATB system will be in the game. Different weapons have different triangle heavy hits. The Buster Sword, for example, has Punisher, and the Rune Blade has Cleave. You use these heavy hits after a string of regular hits. Regular hits are chip damage, and the main damage will come from the heavy combo finishers and the limit breaks, which I feel like we get a quick glimpse of in the trailer. Using magic will consume ATB along with MP. You get more bars as the game progresses. I think the ATB system being here just confirms that it won't be a hack and slash type of game, which I think some people were afraid of. That's probably what I'm most excited to see from the demo during E3 is the whole battle system. Summons will work for the most part as cutscenes like the original. They do not fight with you on the field, but there is going to be a new summon called Amarok, and it appears to be a wolf that causes darkness in addition to the damage. Whoa, I was not expecting new summons. That's pretty crazy. Hearing all of this just makes me more excited for E3 and getting confirmation about these leaks, as well as things not touched on here. But that about wraps it up for me. Let me know down in the comments section how this makes you feel. Are you more excited now? Are you unsure, or are you unhappy with this news? I'll let you guys know if I hear anything else beforehand, and we'll be posting all the news afterwards. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.